message correctly, asking how long we are going to spend, or how many, I don't know, how many lectures we are going to spend on this. Well, this week and next week, really. This week and next week, because week 15 I'm not teaching. I will not be teaching in week 15 because I will have a lot of papers to mark for the midterm papers. So I will end the live sessions. The live sessions will be finished this week and next week. So yeah, to answer your question, I will do only 2 weeks in The Stranger here in this novel. And again, I will also maybe highlight for you again maybe the first half. Here, I think the first 3 parts or the first 3 chapters of part 1, and maybe I will show you the last 2 chapters of part 2. So remember, as you can see, really the novel is not a big one. As you can see here, it's only 77 pages. So really, I want you to read it all. Please read it all. But in the exam, I will only ask you about the first, as I will show you in a minute, maybe today or next time, the exact number of pages included in the exam or in the final exam, as we shall see later. Okay, so yeah, the text, you can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Now, the novel The Stranger by Albert Camus. Albert Camus is maybe you know something about him. He's an amazing Frenchman, French really dramatist, mainly dramatist and novelist. Albert Camus really is also one of the founders of what we call absurdism. The absurd, the literature of the absurd, or the novel of the absurd, or the drama of the absurd. Camus really wrote a lot of stuff. I think here, I don't know, there's at the end of this, there's a little introduction. Well, supposed to be an introduction, which is just written here at the end of the novel. It's like a conclusion. You can see here, as I said, the little note about the author. Albert Camus was born in Mondovi, Algeria, in 1913. So, is he an Arab? No, he's not. Is he an Arab writer or a Muslim Arab writer? No, because he was the son of a Frenchman, French officials or French, you know, colonials who was in Algeria at that time. So he was born in Algeria, yeah, but he was not an Arab or anything to do with Algeria. He was the son of a Frenchman working or serving for the French colonizers or the colonizing power at that time, because France France and Britain nearly occupied all of Africa, nearly all of Africa. Africa, I'm saying all the African countries were either the French or the English, or the Italians, a little bit by the Italians. Mainly Libya was by the Italians, and sometimes even Germans, believe it or not. You know, in some places, Germany was the colonial power. So yeah, I'm saying here he was the son of one of those colonials. After winning a degree in philosophy, he worked at various jobs, ending up in journalism. In the 30s, he ran a theatrical company, and during the war was active in the French resistance, editing an important underground paper called Combat. Among his major works are 4 widely praised works of fiction. So here we talk about his big novels, really, namely the big novels, called The Stranger, The Plague, The Fall, and Exile and the Kingdom. You know, these are the really big novels by Camus. And as you can see, you know, The Stranger, of course, Camus was writing in French, everything in French, everything. He never wrote in English. He knows nothing about the English or about English. So his works, as you can see, were all translated into so many languages. And here we are talking about the English translations. The Stranger, The Plague, The Fall, and Exile and the Kingdom. And again, the plays really, as I said, he was the founder again of absurdism in drama. Here, plays like Caligula and 3 other plays, and the 2 books again on philosophy or philosophical books like The Rebel and the Myth of Sisyphus. And I think this book here, the last one, is an amazing book. It's about Sisyphus. As you can see, the myth of Sisyphus. And in Arabic, we call this Sisyph. Sisyph. And here, really, he's talking about Sisyphus. Later on, maybe I will mention something about him. I don't know. Have you ever heard of this? Sisyphus? Huh? Zainab? Zainab? Hello, Zainab? Zainab? I saw her name here. Where is she? Hello, girls? Girls?
Yes, doctor.
Are you in the habit of switching on your machines and then you go away, or what? Honestly. Sarah, yeah, I know. Yeah, because I discovered, I discovered that many people do that. They just switch on their mobiles or machines or whatever, and then they go away. This is not good, really. If you can't attend, don't attend. Don't fool me and try to say that I'm here when you are not. Anyway, no problem. Yeah, okay. I believe you. Many of you are here, but yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. I will not be. I know the circumstances. I'm not going to be angry about it, but this is one of the funny things about e-learning. Yeah. So the books I'm saying here, this last book called The Myth of Sisyphus, really is an amazing book, which talks about really the punishment in hell, especially by those, by the eternal punishment of torture. And the story is about a man who was pushing a rock up from deep down in the valley and going up to the mountain. And before reaching the top, the rock or this boulder will fall down again, and then he has to go up and do it all the time. And this is, of course, the eternal punishment for suiciders, those who commit suicide. To kill yourself is something really horrible and ugly. And Camus and many people say this as a punishment for you is to be in hell, yes, but not just to be in hell, but you'll be going to be punished and tortured in hell by pushing this rock, as you know, Camus is saying. But of course, this is a myth. I don't know if you know, the idea that well, since we say a myth, then it's mythology, and people may say, well, how do you know that? Well, this is not true. How do you know that? Of course. Now, Albert Camus, as you can see here, was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1957. He was killed in an automobile accident on January 4th, 1960. Well, many, actually, funny enough, really, I know many good, really French, especially French writers and philosophers, really, who, well, funny enough and accidentally enough, you know, they have the same kind of really accident or dying on the road. So yeah, I mean, this is really an amazing, of course, time, of course, to, you know, to because during the 50s, 40s and 50s, when he was writing, really he was very active in every sense, especially, as I said, in the foundation of what we call absurdism. Really, the absurdism or the meaninglessness of existence, or the idea to say, you know, for example, you know, the idea of the absurd, or to go back to maybe the stories we have done, you know, or the novels we have seen, even from Dostoevsky and Lorca, and here you can have similar kind of strange, really way of approaching life, and the way these characters, you know, behave in a strange manner, to the extent that sometimes you can't understand what's going on. You really sometimes you feel, you know, impossible to understand, impossible to appreciate, impossible to believe how these, you know, people, you know, behave and act. And that's why really the idea here is very strongly enacted in this novel, The Stranger. We have a man who commits a crime, and it is really terrible crime. And when you ask why you did that, there's no real answer, you know? There's no real answer. There's no real answer. And the funny thing is, in this play, in this novel, not play, by Camus, really, this novel showed the punishment of the man, that he was sentenced to death. And the whole novel is about, the consequences or the feelings or the actions or the behavior of this man after being sentenced to death. So it became like the mental torture of this man, the main character here, Merson, the name of the character, the French Merson, how he is psychologically, absolutely psychologically punished and tortured, and you can't understand his reaction. Well, this part of what we call the meaninglessness of absurdism, because the absurd really means that when you can't understand something, you say, well, this is really absurd. You can't really follow, you can't understand, you can't believe, and so on, how things, for example, change or develop. And here we have a man who cannot answer, who cannot tell us why he killed, and he said even why he was punished. Even the punishment to him, according to him, the punishment, because he was punished by the law, by the court, to be hanged or to be sentenced in death because of his crime. Whereas in the crimes we have seen before, like Dostoevsky's crime, again, in Raskolnikov, for example, in Crime and Punishment, we see the punishment there. Of course, it was just maybe imprisonment for a certain time, for a certain period. Whereas, maybe Raskolnikov, killing two women in this savage way, maybe he should be sentenced to death, according to Camus, because in The Stranger, this man killed one Arab boy by shooting him 4 times, and he was sentenced to death. And sometimes you say, well, why death? Yeah, so the idea really here is to drive the question into extreme situation when somebody, when you're talking here about somebody who is sentenced to death, and you know that you're waiting for death tomorrow or after tomorrow, when you know yourself you're going to be hanged, and the consequences and the mental agony and the pain is here very strong and very psychological. But the effect of that, the way Merceau in this novel reacted to this was amazing and was really unbelievably strange, and you could never understand. And really that's what we mean by absurdism. The absurd way of responding to knowing that you are going to be killed. The absolute carelessness, the absolute meaninglessness, the absolute, resignation, if you like, to just say, I don't care. And also to look at death as something really fresh, or something funny, or something new, or, to go on philosophizing about death and the meaning of death, which is really an amazing thing here to see about Merceau in this novel, as we shall see. So that's what I mean here by the absurdism, the meaninglessness of the behavior or the attitudes or the elements, or to say this monotony, this crazy, routine kind of thing, which is maybe adhered by Merceau, or the ways in which he reacted towards the whole attitude of religion. Again, in the novel here, we have a lot of focus on religion and the ways in which maybe the church, maybe the reaction to say, what is God and what is, the reaction to God and so on. Really, which is an amazing thing, because in philosophy and existentialism, like even in the three texts, in Crime and Punishment and in Lorca, Yerma, and here we see the invocation or the evocation, or really the amazing deployment of religion in really different ways, which is sometimes a mixture of really sarcasm, a mixture of unbelievable, contradictory, strange, weird feelings about what is religion, what is God, and where is God, and so on. Really, these questions are amazingly addressed everywhere in these three texts, which are, as I said, to do with existentialism, and indirectly, and really mostly, in fact, we can say most directly related to absurdism. Absurdism, really, to the meaninglessness of life. And sometimes we say, there are so many meaningless situations we have, every day. Today, you don't think about it. Yeah, I mean, there are so many crazy things around us, isn't it? Sometimes you can't really understand what's going on. Yeah. I mean, even today, in our own real life, there are many cases when you say, I can't understand why. I really cannot understand why, for example, this is happening like that. And no matter how much time you spend and you try to understand, and deep down, you try to look inside, and you say, it's impossible. And really, that's why you say, well, it is an absurd way to do things like that. It's an amazing, empty way, as we say, meaninglessness, which is, and this meaninglessness, going back to the question of nihilism, again, nihilism, because this is again a philosophy related to, to nihilate or annihilate, or to really obliterate yourself, in such amazing question here. I think this question of nihilism also is seen in Crime and Punishment, in many of the behaviors and the attitudes acted by all the characters, starting from Raskolnikov to Login, and to maybe to Sonia's behavior, her attitudes towards what she was doing to save her family. And sometimes, she could never understand, Sonia could never understand her choice, even it's her choice, and she couldn't believe that she was doing that just for money. And what is a tragedy, really? What is a tragedy to do that? And this is again can be seen by Dunya, by Raskolnikov's sister and mother in the same fashion. To stretch this to go back to Lorca, we see the same. This question of nihilism, because here we can say that Yerma actually, when she said, I killed my baby, I killed him, I killed my baby here, and turning herself into absolutely obliterated figure, or a dead, annihilated, nihilistic figure herself to say, where is her baby, where is her life, and so on. And here, when you ask Meursault, you know, when so many people asked him, why didn't you cry? You know, for example, again, this is one of the big questions in this novel. Why, he said, and Camus, I think, said one day that this character Meursault was sentenced to death because he could not cry for his mother. What? He couldn't cry for his mother when his mother died. And sometimes he say, you know, that the punishment in this novel was not because he killed the Arab boy. The punishment or the evidence, most of the evidence and the circumstantial evidence and all the thing about him, you know, they relied heavily on the fact that he could not cry when his mother died. When he was asked, because at the beginning of the novel we shall see that. You know, he said he couldn't cry. I mean, yeah, we understand that. Maybe there are people who can't cry for something. But you see, sometimes, you know, unless you are really, really strange figure, that you can't cry in your own mother's death. People normally, they cry. If they ever cry, they cry once when their mothers died, you know? I don't know. We say your mother, of course. There are cases when people cry for so many things, for so many reasons. But here, the novel really is saying that this man was punished to death because he could not cry for his mother. This is strange, isn't it? Maybe. Let me put up this. Yeah, so to go back to the beginning of my novel here, we shall see, of course, in details the story here. The beginning of the novel, as you can see, at the beginning of the novel. Look at the language spoken here, the narrative at the beginning of the story. The narrator here is, you know, the first person narrator and character, Meursault himself, the Frenchman, the French boy, the Frenchman here speaking to us all the time. Mother died today, or maybe yesterday, I can't be sure. The telegram from the home says, your mother passed away, funeral tomorrow, deep sympathy, which leaves the matter doubtful. It could have been yesterday. I mean, look at the cut and the abrupt and the short sentences and the way he's writing. There's no emotionality about this narrative. There's no emotion. There's no really, you know, carry on and relaxed, you know, as if to say here, you know, the writer or the narrator is telling us something, you know, when he's not happy or he's not in the mood to explain to us anything. And then you say, mother died. You know, just like that, you know, very dry language. Mother died today. Or maybe yesterday, I can't be sure. I mean, look at the language here, really. As I say, it's a very absolutely dry language. No emotionality, no feelings there. Right? So from the very beginning, you can see the story and the novel really here is lovely, absolutely lovely way. And Beckett, Samuel Beckett, later on, really, the English, absolutely lovely, Irish. Let me show you. I want to write his name and show you, because I mentioned him to you many times, and I must show you, really, because I'm sure many of you maybe read him. Yeah, can you see? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
You see the picture of Samuel Beckett? You see the screen, correct?
Yes, doctor, yes.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. This is Samuel Beckett. Really, he's an amazing dramatist, Irish, lovely Irish dramatist who, and funny enough, believe it or not, he wrote all his plays originally in French, and then he rewrites them in English. Let me see if any other pictures by him. Samuel Beckett. Let me see. Yeah, that's one of the images. Oh, this is amazing, really. Yeah, can you see this one here? You still see my screen?
Yes, doctor.
This is part of the play, the picture here by, it's Waiting for Godot. Really, this is the picture from Waiting for Godot. And Godot, this play was an absolutely, I don't know, anybody read Godot? Beckett, have you read Beckett in modern drama?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Oh, really? That's lovely. That's really excellent. You can see his name put on one of the coins, the euro coins, which is really a very good thing about him. So Beckett, to me, I think he was even more powerful than really maybe than I should say Camus. Really, Beckett, he gave us everything about the absurd through his plays in English, as I said, in real, absolutely strong way. The language, the abrupt, and I think last time maybe I mentioned to you the novel about the unnameable. I mentioned that in the trilogy. Somebody, I think maybe Ishaq is writing something about the unnameable. And yeah, you can see here. You can see in the stories and the novels that you wrote in this trilogy, as I said, really the huge, absolutely trilogy novel called Molloy and Malone Dies and The Unnameable. which is really an amazing text, which, as I say, they all talk about the absurd in such a lovely fashion, absolutely lovely fashion. So to go back to sharing, let me go back to share with you the novel. You can feel this exactly how he writes. Beckett, even more powerful, wrote in English like that. And here, of course, the translator, I think, did a good job because this is translated by I think an English. Let me see who. By by Stuart Gilbert. Oh, yeah, translated from the French by Stuart Gilbert. I think this is a great, translation by Gilbert there. But I'm saying the beauty of the language is more powerful in Beckett, because Beckett is writing himself the original English and French. So I'm saying here the dry language, the abrupt, the short and the emotionless, the meaninglessness, or the sometimes the deliberately left ideas or the gaps left for you to fill in. There are so many gaps left in here for us to fill in. The home for aged persons is at Maringo, some 50 miles from Algiers. With the 2 o'clock bus, I should get there well before nightfall. Then I can spend the night there, keeping the usual vigil beside the body, and be back here by tomorrow evening. I have fixed up with my employer for 2 days leave. Obviously, under the circumstances, he could not refuse. Still, I had an idea. He looked annoyed, and I said, without thinking, sorry, sir, but it's not my fault, you know. You can see here that, as I said, the narrator character telling us how he decided, as I said, in his mood, that he wanted to go to attend his mother's funeral. And the home, of course, it's the home for the elderly. Sometimes because people, he called it here the home. And I think here, in many societies, we have things like this. We call it in Arabic, sometimes we say Dar al-Ajaza or Dar al-Aytam. Dar al-Ajaza or Dar al-Aytam. I don't know, maybe you have this here in this country. We have it in Syria. Sometimes people who, for example, have nobody to look after, who have nobody to look after them, they go to these homes. And here he called it the home, right? The home, ad-dar or al-bayt. Here his mother died in one of these homes for the elderly. And, he's telling us, as you can see, notice the emotionlessness of this narrative. There are a lot of, absolutely no emotion employed. Afterwards, it struck me, I needn't have said that. I had no reason to excuse myself. It was up to him to express his sympathy and so forth. Probably he will do so by the day, the day after tomorrow, when he sees me in black. For the present, it's almost as if mother weren't really dead. The funeral will bring it home to me, put an official seal on it, so to speak. You can see here how he's telling us how maybe he's saying that, the news when he was saying it, that my mother died, he said, he showed no emotion. And maybe he said, I will feel this maybe tomorrow, maybe I will feel that. But funny enough, later on we shall see that nothing changed. And here he's not surprised that the manager or the job employer, you know, he didn't tell him, you know, sorry, my condolences or something like that. But he said, maybe tomorrow he will tell me this, as if to say, you know, the whole atmosphere is very dry and very dead, you know. And he goes on in the whole narrative. Please read that because it's really lovely. Notice, I took the 2 o'clock bus. It was a blazing hot afternoon. I had lunched as usual at Celeste's restaurant. Everyone was most kind, and Celeste said to me, there is no one like a mother. You know, here he's, you know, he's saying to his friends that he's leaving or he's going to attend his mother's funeral, and people showing sympathy for him and saying, you know, yeah, to lose your mother is something really very important and very, very, very bad and very sad. And here, you know, the first impression maybe by this cafe owner or this restaurant owner, Celeste, he's saying to him that there's no one like mother. When I left, they came to me, they came with me to the door. It was something of a rush getting away, as at the last moment, I had to call it at Emmanuel's glance to borrow his black tie and mourning band. He lost his uncle a few months ago. So his friend Emmanuel, you know, he's saying, I borrowed from him some of his, you know, outfit, if you like. So he borrowed the tie from him, the black tie to wear for the funeral. And, you know, again, you can see, you know, this strange narrative. I had to run to catch the bus. I suppose it was my hurrying like that. What with the glare off the road and from the sky, the neck of gasoline, and the jolts that made me feel so drowsy. Anyhow, I slept most of the way. When I awoke, I was leaning against a soldier. He grinned and asked me if I had come from a long way off, and I just nodded. To cut things short, I wasn't in the mood for talking. Yeah. Well, the whole novel really here, the whole novel is dominated by this mood. He's not in the mood to tell us anything. What a lovely thing to summarize the novel. It's a novel about not talking. Yeah. It's about a narrative when you are not in the mood to write things, to say things. You know, sometimes I said this to some of you in the exam. I think I mentioned this to 1 or 2 students here in the class. I said that it seems that you are not in the mood to write the exam because some of you wrote to me paragraphs into only 2 sentences each paragraph. And I was surprised. Really saying, what's this? Come on. Come on. And even I said to them in a joking manner, I said, don't tell me it's Ramadan. Maybe you say, oh, Ramadan, doctor, I am not in the mood. I can't. I feel, yeah. Huh? Huh? You think so? Saida?
Yes, doctor.
How is Ramadan doing with you?
Good.
Really?
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, you are a hardworking woman. Well done. Yes. Are you ready for the exam next week, Saida?
Yes, inshallah.
You want it Wednesday or when?
Yes.
The end of the week?
No, 4th of May. I think it's Tuesday.
Oh, 4th of May, Tuesday.
Yes, I told you before.
Yeah, yeah. You want to do that next? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will get the exam ready for you. Well done. Yeah, okay. So really the idea here, yeah, somebody saying here, Sarah saying, sometimes pains are over crying. Yeah, yeah, I believe you. Yeah, I know. But of course, this is the idea here. To go back to the novel, really is an amazing attitude. That funny enough, people in the normal sense, they were surprised that he couldn't cry, and even Camus himself was asked about it, and he said, "Well, my hero was sentenced to death because he couldn't cry for his mother." Maybe he was joking, or maybe he was trying to drive us crazy about this reason and to think about it in really horrible fashion. So here he said, I was not in the mood for talking. Well, because sometimes we ask about things in this novel and we can't find it, as if to say that this novel really is about that. That no matter how much you try to find meanings, you will not find them. The home is a little over a mile from the village. I went there on foot, so he walked. I asked to be allowed to see mother at once, but the doorkeeper told me I must see the warden first. He wasn't free, and I had to wait a bit. The doorkeeper chatted with me while I waited. Then he led me to the office. The warden was a very small man with gray hair, and a Legion of Honor rosette. And a Legion of Honor rosette in his buttonhole, like a rose or rosette here, or a rosette. He gave me a long look with his watery blue eyes. Then we shook hands, and he held mine so long that I began to feel embarrassed. After that, he consulted a register on his table and said, why do you think he held his hand for some time? Why? He said, he held my hand for so long that I began to feel embarrassed. Yeah? Really, it's here sometimes we show this to show sympathy and to show condolence. If you know somebody, or you are saying, you're showing your love and your condolences to somebody, and you shake hands, you sort of show that by holding the hand for as long as you can, to say to the person that I feel for you. Don't worry, I'm your brother. I feel for you. You're my brother. And to show really humanity and humanism, and to show love, and to show sympathy, and to show pity. And here, the man said, I was embarrassed. He's terrible. Why should he? Why embarrassed? After that, he consulted the register on the table and said, Madame Marceau entered the home 3 years ago. She had no private means and depended entirely on you. Here we see the conversation and, telling us more and more about him. Now, boys and girls, I want you to read all this section. Let me go through this chapter 1, till page, let me see. So please, you have the first 4, read till page 27. In the first part here, the first 4 parts, first 4 chapters, till page 27 for next time. Okay, and next time I will tell you the rest to see and to read the rest, because really it's a short novel, as you can see. It's not really a long novel. It's about 77 pages, as you can see, and this is from the original. It's not really. Let me see. Well, actually, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, actually, yeah. Read till page. I changed my mind. Read till page 31. Actually, 31. Okay, that's it today. For today, boys and girls. I will stop the recording, and I will see you next time.